anticipated return in cinema is underway, and this time it will not merely be a story of faith. The greatness of what was about to be revealed would transcend the screen, resonating in the hearts of those willing to listen. He was not an ordinary man. From the moment he uttered his first word, history began to tilt in his favor. He had no armies or shining armor, but his voice shook the foundations of entire kingdoms. His breath vibrated with the force of a hurricane, and his words, like accurate arrows, pierced the darkness of the human soul. He bore no sword, yet his presence could cut deeper than any blade. There was no need for violence, for his essence embodied the power of change. Crowds gathered around him, drawn by an unmatched magnetism. The sick reached out their hands, yearning for a touch that could heal their ailments, and upon brushing against his cloak, their illnesses vanished like dew at dawn. The demons, terrified by his mere existence, shouted his name and fled. Nature itself responded to his authority. The wind calmed at his command, and the waves sank into reverent silence. Who was this man? The powerful feared him, the religious hated him, and the crowds, with eyes overflowing with wonder, followed him like a light in the midst of darkness. He was the Son of Man, but not as they had imagined. He spoke with the tenderness of a friend, yet backed by the authority of a king. He loved the despised, lifting up the fallen that society had forgotten. He confronted the hypocrites fearlessly, his voice resounding in the halls of temples adorned with a garb of hypocrisy. The world listened to him, and despite the miracles and teachings, many chose to look upon him with skepticism. The blind, those who had never seen the light, were brought back to life, and the dead returned from the abyss of inaction and forgetfulness. Yet despite these acts of divine love, humanity chose to reject him. His message was too dangerous, too real for those who preferred the shadows to the light. Rome crucified him, Jerusalem denied him, and his own disciples fled as the shadows of betrayal began to creep into their hearts. What they did not understand, however, was that he had come precisely for that. From the beginning, his destiny was not to evade the cross, but to conquer it. He who had walked on water was finally nailed to a piece of wood, the perfect sacrifice. His deep silence in the face of accusations from those who did not understand his mission resonated in the air like an echo of unbreakable love. He who could summon legions of angels chose to allow men to tear him apart. Heaven fell silent as his last breath tore through the atmosphere. The earth trembled, and the sun darkened. The world seemed to stop, and in the silence that followed, the last vibrations of his suffering were felt. Had the eye for eye been fulfilled? It seemed everything was over, but in that moment, the true story was unveiled. Jesus was not defeated. The end marked by death was, in fact, a new beginning. Down he descended, the man of faith and hope, his lifeless body in the cold tomb, but his spirit burst into the depths of Sheol. The condemned looked upon him, feeling a spark of hope for the first time, as the shadows disintegrated before his light. The demons felt terror, for he did not come as a prisoner. He came as a conqueror, bringing with him a message of redemption and liberation. The chains of hopelessness were broken. The darkness that had reigned for so long shattered into 1,000 pieces. Hell itself trembled before the approaching majesty. When the King of Kings extended his hand, he seized the power that should never have belonged to death. The war was over, and victory shone brightly on the horizon. The third day dawned with a different sunrise. The wind blew with an expectant silence. The tomb remained closed, the stone intact, the Roman seal unbroken. But then, a tremor of vibrant energy coursed through the battlefield of the human heart. A flash of light illuminated the horizon, and a roar that no human ear could hear resonated in the invisible world, breaking the chains that held wandering souls captive. And so, as the shadows dissipate and the splendor of the dawn's breaking begins to emerge, the path toward the unknown intertwines with revelations yet to be told. The guards fell to the ground as if dead, unable to withstand the magnitude of the power being unleashed at that moment. The imperial seal broke without anyone touching it, as if a heavenly command had unleashed an authority that did not belong to this world. The tomb, which had been sealed with relentless force, opened. The stone, which no man could move, rolled away with a strength that defied the laws of nature. The grave was empty. The impossible had become reality. Jesus had not only risen, he had transformed the fate of the entire universe. The disciples, dazed and trembling, found themselves in a sea of confusion, unable to comprehend the magnitude of what they were witnessing. And then, he appeared. His face no longer reflected the suffering of the cross, but the glory of eternity. His eyes blazed with the fire of victory, and with a voice that resonated deep within the soul, he spoke the words that would change the world forever: "Peace be with you." Immediately, the fear that had gripped his followers transformed into strength, desperation into hope. The persecuted became conquerors. From that day on, neither Rome, nor death, nor eternity itself could contain what he had started. His story is not just an ancient tale. It is the most powerful story ever told, the destiny of souls and the course of time itself. Every wound he suffered, every word he spoke from the cross, and every step he took after rising was a direct challenge to the power of darkness. His resurrection was not merely a physical return. It was a liberation, a battle cry against everything that had kept humanity in bondage. It was the beginning of a heavenly rebellion against the tyranny of death, sin, and despair. An event so profound that it changed not only those who witnessed it but all generations that came after, including our own existence. This film, this narrative of life and resurrection, is not entertainment. It is a wake-up call, a confrontation with the truth, with the reality that many have tried to bury, hide, and make us forget. Because if the tomb is empty, then everything changes. If he conquered death, then fear loses its power. If he rose again, everything else can be transformed. Who are you in light of that truth? What will you do with the power of that resurrection, with the reality of that sacrifice? The resurrection is not just ancient history. It is a continuous invitation to live boldly, purposefully, with an unshakable hope that can defy the most adverse circumstances. The world has tried to bury this story time and again, attempting to silence it, to reduce it to a myth or an empty tradition. But the resurrection cannot be silenced. The light cannot be extinguished. What happened in that tomb was not the end of a chapter. It was just the beginning of a new story, a narrative that continues to be written in our hearts, in our decisions, and in our eternal destiny. If you dare to look beyond the surface, if you feel deep within your being that there is something more, if you are willing to confront the truth that changes everything, then this message is for you. Because this event did not just transform a few. It has the power to transform your life and your destiny. And even more incredibly, it has the power to awaken something within you that you have been searching for your entire life. In those moments of restlessness, of struggle and searching, it is worth remembering that we all carry within us a spark of divinity, a thirst for the eternal that was planted in our souls from the beginning of time. The disciples began to share their testimony, to recount what they had seen and felt. In every word, there was an echo of truth, a reflection of the light radiating from their hearts. As they traveled from city to city, they became messengers of a new inheritance, proclaiming the message they had received: He lives, and with him, there is new life. Each healing was a reminder of the power of his name, each conversion, a testament to his unconditional love. The hustle and bustle of daily life soon began to overshadow their words, and rejection was felt among those who refused to open their hearts. But even amid adversity, the seed of the gospel took root. Hope began to blossom in the most unexpected places. In prisons, in marginalized communities, in the forgotten corners of society. Each encounter they shared carried an air of renewal. Transformed lives were living witnesses of the resurrection. They were not just sharing a story. They were delivering an experience that transcends time and space, that knows no limits. This is the promise Jesus left. It is not just a tale of old. It is the reality that continues to impact and give life even today. Thus, his message, wrapped in eternal truths, would rise like a beacon in the darkness. The struggle between light and darkness intensified. As his name resonated, more and more hearts dared to detect the vibration of hope. So, if all this is true, if life after death is possible, if everything can be transformed, what will you do? Will you allow that story to transform you? The invitation is extended to you. Receive it in your being, in your day-to-day. The path to transformation is open. The power of the resurrection is within reach for those who dare to take the first step. Do you want to discover more about the spiritual impact of this event? If you desire to learn about the hidden mysteries still concealed behind that victory, if you long to unravel the profound truths surrounding faith, prophecy, and the spiritual battle that still rages today, then don't waste any more time. Subscribe to this space, where we reveal the deepest secrets of faith and the supernatural power that surrounds us. We delve into the war being fought for every soul, exploring the promises that still await us and the hope that drives us forward. This is a call to all those seeking answers, yearning to understand the deep impact that the resurrection has on their daily lives. The truth is before you, waiting to be discovered. But the question is, do you dare to see it? Do you dare to live according to that truth, to walk in the light that brings transformation? The resurrection of Jesus is not just a historical event. It is a living power that can change the course of your life and the eternal destiny of your soul. Allow this resurrection to transform not only your present but also the eternity that awaits you. By subscribing now, you are opening yourself to a revelatory experience. We invite you to explore the depths of a faith that has stood the test of time, to immerse yourself in the power that can free you from invisible chains, and to cultivate a spiritual connection that focuses you on the divine purpose of your life. Do not walk in darkness. Ignite the light of truth that can guide you toward a path of victory, peace, and unshakable hope. Awaken to revelation and transform your life in ways you never imagined.